This is just some window screening stuff. I had a repair that I had to make probably a year ago on the back screen porch at the Homestead, and I had some stuff left over. I figured this was a perfect opportunity to use it up and just, get some leftover trash out of the Homestead. Basically what this is, it's going to be a bug screen to prevent any mud daubers or insects from trying to nest behind the siding. Because I'm putting these rain screens in there, it's going to create about a 3/4 inch gap. There's not a whole lot that would live comfortably in a 3/4 inch gap, but it would most likely be insects. And so a simple little screen like this will just keep the bugs out, prevent anything, especially like wasps or bees or something like that, from trying to nestle up in between the sheathing and the siding. And a half is good. So I'm just going to keep doing that all the way down. And then at the very end, when the siding gets installed on this, it's going to keep all of this up and flush, and all of this will create a nice little barrier just to help prevent anything from trying to crawl up there. But because it is obviously perforated, if any moisture does condense and form behind here, it's going to drip right through it, no problem. Everywhere. Okay, getting itchy. Get away from these things. Now I'm paranoid. Alright, here we go. Battery's dying. I'm gonna have to put that one on the charger. Hey guys. I'm kind of scared to sit on this thing. I've got a lot of wood on here, a lot of plywood, very heavy plywood. I've got a few sheets in the back. You can't really tell, but those have been stained. All of the rain screening is prepared. It's ready for the siding. I could install the siding and then stain it once it's up. I'm just worried that if I'm sitting there rolling, stain's going to be splattering and running. I'm going to get it on the masonry down at the bottom, and I don't want that. I want to try to avoid getting stain on the masonry. But what I wanted to show you here was the way that I did this to try to save just a little bit of money. You may notice here that the rain screen, these boards that I have here, these furring strips, they kind of alternate. I've got a 4-inch one, then a little 2-inch one, then 4-inch, 2-inch, 4-inch, 2-inch. The reason for that is I'm going to be using full 4x8 sheets of plywood. So wherever you see a 1x4, that's where there's going to be 2 sheets of plywood butting up. And obviously there's going to be a gap in between there, and I want to have plenty of room to play around, which I'm going to end up covering that gap with batten. So, spoiler alert, it's going to be a board and batten. All of these boards and every single one of these are screwed into the wall studs that are on the other side of all of this material. So every single one of these is screwed into structure, and then the siding I can attach to these, and I don't have to be as careful or hope that I don't miss the stud as I'm trying to line these sheets up. This 4 inches gives me a lot of play. But I think for today, the big thing was I just wanted to fill you guys in on, well, my choice of materials for siding. On that note, you know what, before I let you guys go, let's talk about why I chose plywood for siding, because there might be a handful of people out there who say I'm an idiot. Understand that this structure is basically an agricultural building. It is, although I've used a lot of residential stuff on this because I'm trying very hard to create an airtight structure as much as I can. There's gonna be leaks and stuff like that, but certainly not as leaky as, you know, just a pole barn with some purlins and a tin roof on there. This is gonna be pretty darn close to like tiny house living inside of this barn. The reason why I chose plywood though is because it's affordable. It was, you know, around 20 bucks a sheet, and I'm going to be able to basically put that plywood material on this building for 600 bucks or something like that, maybe less, maybe 500 bucks worth of siding. The battens might be another extra, let's say, whatever, $100. You figure somewhere in the ballpark of about $600 to put siding on this entire roughly 400 square foot building. You tell me, can I put vinyl siding on a 400 square foot building with you know, 10-foot walls, 14-foot gable walls? I don't think so. And if I did vinyl siding, yeah, I could do that. I could have done that, but I don't think it would have come out to that cost. Once you include the siding, all of the trim that would have been involved and so on, I don't think it would have come out to that kind of ballpark number. Now, I don't know if that's the exact count. I'll let you know at the very end of this project. I'm going to do a cost analysis on the cost of doing the masonry work, on the cost of framing the walls, on the cost of doing the roof, and then the cost of siding the entire structure. But that's going to be at the very end. The other thing that people might say is, well, plywood is going to delaminate. If you have that plywood, just, you know, you're trying to make a deck with plywood and you're letting that water puddle, it's going to delaminate pretty quickly. If you just have raw plywood and you stick it up on a wall, you might get a year or two out of it because the sun will most likely break down that wood. It's going to get really brittle. It's going to start to crack, create openings where moisture can get in, and then it's going to start to delaminate. The key to using plywood exterior is two things. First of all, you want obviously plywood that has at least exposure 1, which is a classification, meaning it uses exterior glue, but it's not necessarily, it's not like ground treated lumber kind of stuff. It's just wood that is meant to have temporary exposure to the elements. But even under those conditions, if you beat on it enough, it also will delaminate. So what's the trick here? Well, it's not going to last forever. It's a natural material. It's not like plastic or vinyl or something like that. It will deteriorate, but we can seal it. We can seal it, which is what I'm doing. I'm going to use that Ready Seal, which is designed for decks and fences and wood materials. It is an oil-based material. And if you've ever had an oil slick on your driveway or gotten oil even on your hands, you're cooking and you have oil in your hands and you just try to run it underwater, you know what happens. It just bubbles up on your hand and runs right off. The same thing is true for wood. Wood will absorb oil-based stains, and when it sucks that oil into the wood, into the fibers of the wood, it basically fills all the voids of the wood, not leaving anywhere for water to intrude into the wood. Because letting that moisture push into the wood is where the rot, the dry rot, and the delamination begins. If you can prevent that, if you can get the rain to just bounce off and run off, then you extend the life of that plywood. Now, last thing, and then I'll let you guys go. So these 1x4 boards that I picked up, these I'm going to use as the stops for the polycarbonate that is going to be the windows for the greenhouse. So this is the first step into cutting a hole into the greenhouse. I just don't want to do it now. Someone might say, okay, Ben, you're using exterior exposure plywood, you're using a stain to protect it. It's still a natural material. It's still glued layers of wood. It's still going to delaminate in time, and that wood's going to deteriorate, and you may have to restain it every 3 years if you hope to continue to extend the life of that siding. And you're right. However, right now, what I'm trying to do is get the structure built, get it covered, sealed in, put a siding on it, a siding that I can afford right now, which I can afford, 500 or 600 bucks of siding for a building this big. I can't necessarily afford another $2,000 or $3,000 or however much it's going to cost to put vinyl siding on this. So I can do it for a fraction of the price. And if that, 500 bucks buys me 5 years, 10 years, and then I have to take that plywood down and pay someone to install vinyl siding or something, or if I want to get real fancy for a barn, like hardy board or something like that, I'll have money by then. I could save up more and I can make improvements to the building. But right now, 500 bucks to dry in this building sounds pretty darn good. Okay, so guys, that's it. I know it's a lot of rambling, but I'm throwing numbers out at you because I want to give you some idea of what some of this is costing me and how it's going to be installed, and the process of, if you're trying to DIY it yourself, seeking out the materials, bringing that stuff to your build site, and just, making the dream happen. I hope you appreciate all that information. If you think I missed anything, let me know down in the comments below. Also, as always, you guys be good. I'll see you on the next one.